I bought the cheapest Olympic barbell on Amazon. The reason I put the air quotes on there is because this bar is 35 pounds. The standard men's Olympic barbell is 45 pounds. But this bar is 7 feet in length and takes 2-inch plates on either side, which are two things that I was looking for and were more important than the actual weight of the bar itself. But if the bar being 45 pounds is super important to you, then you can just go ahead and check this off your list. If not, then stick around and see what I have to say about it. When I first got the bar unboxed, my initial impressions were that the bar was pretty clean. There were no obvious imperfections, but let's take a little bit closer of a look. I think we're gonna need a tape measure. The official length is actually 86 inches. Well. It's crafted from a cold rolled steel with a tensile strength of 63,800 PSI. And honestly, that means nothing to me. Maximum weight capacity, 500 pounds. And I'll be completely honest, I'm sure a lot of you out there can lift 500 pounds on maybe it's a squat, deadlift, whatever it may be, but I'm not going to get even remotely close to that, so that's really not a concern for me. This is the #1 strength training bar sold on Amazon. It has 4.6 out of 5 stars. I read a ton of reviews and a lot of them had concerns about a couple things. So let's go over the concerns. The first one is that the knurling wasn't properly in the middle of the bar, nor was it evenly distributed on either side. So let's measure it. So inside of the collars, we have 52 inches of room. That is something nice to know, especially if you want to measure your actual power rack and make sure that it's going to clear either side. That's one big problem, and one reason that I needed a 7-foot bar is so that I could clear these J-hooks without interfering with the plates on either side. All right, let's go off centimeters. So it's 132 centimeters across, 132 centimeters. Is this mathin'? 132 divided by 2. What is that? 66 should be dead center. And I mean, it seems very, very central. I mean, as much of an engineer and a mathematician as I am, it seems pretty even, in my opinion. You get about 16 inches of knurling on each side, and that's even on both there. Center knurling is 4 inches across. More on the knurling, I would say it is a medium to soft knurling on the edges. The center is definitely a more aggressive knurling, the type that if you were to use this bar to do a heavy deadlift or something like that, it could definitely tear some calluses. But I do wish that the knurling was slightly more aggressive. It's not so soft to the point where you don't feel like you have grip. I still feel like I have good grip on the bar. I just wish that it was slightly more aggressive. But overall, I'm happy with the feeling of the knurling. The next biggest complaint was about these collars. Ranging anywhere from a couple days of use to a couple months, people were saying that the collars were breaking. Even upon delivery, some people had issues. They were definitely in the minority, and only 4% of all the reviews were 1 stars. It was majority 5-star reviews. Some people did have issues, the biggest issue being the weld on the collar itself. Personally, for me, my bar came in with basically 0 imperfections and with a very clean weld. The collars do spin, but there is a little bit of friction. Not too much friction where it's going to impede you rolling the bar around on the ground if you're doing deadlifts, but probably just enough to keep it from rolling away from you, even if the floor is slightly uneven. As for actually putting weights on the collars themselves, you can tell that there are basically 0 imperfections because the weights slide on super easily. I can tell that everything on the bar matches up really well because the weights sit flush on each side. So overall, I am pretty impressed with this bar. Specifically for me, I'm gonna be using this bar for benching and squatting. Now, I will note that some of the 1-star reviews I saw on Amazon, specifically the people who had broken the collars, were doing clean and jerks, they were doing deadlifts, and things that required them to drop the bar on the ground. So unless I fail an exercise and have to bail, that's not really something that I'm gonna have to worry about. And especially in a home gym with no spotter, it's very unlikely that I'm gonna have a bunch of weight loaded onto the bar and have to end up dropping it. But if that is a main concern for you, then I would be a little cautious getting something that's a little cheaper. It might be worth getting something that's just a little bit more expensive that you know is gonna hold up to a decent durability test. In addition to buying this cheap barbell, I also needed weights to go along with it. And to continue the trend, obviously I got the cheapest weights that I could find. Coincidentally, it ended up being the same company, which honestly kind of makes sense to me. As I unboxed these, there was some obvious differences from plate to plate. And no, I'm not talking about the size or the actual weight or even how they were boxed. Ooh, greased up. These are not as greasy as the other ones. This one did not make it to the Diddy party. On the 25, the 15, and the 10-pound bumper plates, there was this greasy, oily consistency coating the entire plate. So it led me to believe that maybe they made a couple stops before they got to my house. Honestly, that's kind of annoying. There's dog hair sticking to it, any debris that's in my garage, and they are just greasy and uncomfortable to handle, and you can see every fingerprint that I've put on there since I got these plates. Maybe I need to wipe them down with an all-purpose cleaner or something, but the 35 and the 45 came in seemingly untouched by this mysterious oily residue. As far as the actual quality of the plates when they arrived, I would say that they were in decent shape. There were minor defects, but nothing that I was very upset about. Some scratches and little pieces of missing rubber, but not so much that I think it would actually affect the weight itself. As far as the rings in the center of the weights, they seem smooth and they slide on the bar without any issues, so honestly, no complaints there. But there are a couple things that I've noticed so far that I'm not super happy about. I've had these plates for less than a week, and I've already managed to kind of damage them. And these are bumper plates, so they're made to be dropped on the floor and kind of thrown around. You know, they're gym weight plates. They should be relatively durable in my opinion, but they are on the cheaper side. So is it a buy it nice or buy it twice type of scenario with these plates? Honestly, I think only time will tell. But somehow I've managed to put some decent sized scratches and gashes into these plates. And honestly, that is a little bit concerning to me. But one thing that I am curious about is comparing them to my standard plates. Do they weigh exactly the same? Do they weigh what they have marked on the plate? Well, let's find out. In order to test these weights, we're going to compare my standard weights, which is 11.25 kilograms, 25 pounds, just a standard weight plate. It is 25.2 pounds. I guess you could consider that 0.2 pounds maybe inaccuracies for my old bathroom scale that I now keep in the garage for purposes just like these. And then we have the 25-pound plate from Cap Barbell. So let's see what this one weighs. And 25.8 pounds. How accurate are the bigger plates? What about the smaller ones? 15 pound, 14.8. The 45, 46 pounds even. And the 35 is 34.8. Even though we don't know if the scale is 100% accurate, there is discrepancies even among the plates themselves. Some are slightly under, some are slightly over, with the 45 being an entire pound more than it states. And you guys might be wondering, if I'm not planning on doing deadlifts or really ever dropping the weights in general, why didn't I just go with standard Olympic size plates? Well, honestly, it was purely a cost factor. I wanted more weights for my home gym, along with something to go on this Olympic barbell, and this was so much cheaper that even though bumper plates can be an inconvenience and a bit of a storage issue, that it was worth it financially. So in my honest opinion, I do think these weights and the barbell are gonna hold up just fine for a really, really long time. As far as the quality goes for the specific pieces that I received, I feel like they're all pretty good quality. Are they perfect? No, but for the price, I still feel like I got a really good deal. So if you're somebody that has a home gym and you're on a little bit of a budget, I think these are really good options. You can get a lot of weight and a decent bar for a really good price. I think if you're in a scenario similar to mine, where you don't plan on banging the bars and the weights around a lot, then you'll probably have really good luck with both of them. So for me, it was 100% worth it. I ended up getting these on sale, but even at the normal price, you can get the barbell and 260 pounds of bumper plates for around 300 bucks, which is a crazy deal in my opinion. There's some barbells out there that are over 300 bucks. If anybody's interested, I will put a link down in the description for the barbell and the bumper plates. If you do make a purchase through that link, I will earn a small commission, but it does not affect the price of the item. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe for more content, and I will catch you all in the next one.